How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just turned off the Stallion remix so I could
Listen,
do this.
I was in the middle of our affinity group, our Black affinity group at work, and seriously contemplated adjourning the meeting so that we could all go listen. Um, Someone had dropped it in the comments in the Zoom, and I was like, "Oh, we gotta bounce!" Like, I
Oh,
thought about
100%.
leaving too, but I wanted the leader, so I couldn't just
Yeah, just dip on the group.
abandon everybody. Right, right.
Oh
So
yeah, I got the link in the group chat, and at the same time a colleague was like, "Hey, do you have time for a quick call?" And I was like,
no,
"I
I'm booked
don't. I
the day.
I'm actually quite busy. I don't know if you're looking at the news, but Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion are on the same song, so there's no way I
Yes,
have to do anything
yes,
else but that. But thank you. But no,
yeah.
it's epic. Like she knew we needed this.
So good. And now I was talking with the coworker, I was like, I just need the video. Like I need to see, and I don't know how in the like
I don't know,
COVID times they
but
make
if
it work.
anyone could,
It would be them.
it would
Yeah.
be
It could be
them.
like, it could be an Instagram live of them both twerking and I would watch.
I would
Like,
watch it. I would get it tattooed. Like
yeah, that's
it's
all they
it's
need.
so major. It's gonna like. Do you remember when the Oh my gosh, which song was it they did the video for? Was it Feeling Myself? Was it that remix they did the video for? Or was it the other song? Her and Nicki Minaj. When that video came out,
Yeah. I think, yeah, feeling myself.
when that video came out, that was like a whole moment. This
It,
video will be like a generation
yeah.
defining.
Oh, absolutely.
uh,
100% absolutely.
well, as much as I want to, we're not talking about Beyonce tonight. I mean, we definitely could, and we probably will again. But I
Definitely.
really wanted to just like, first of all, do this together because we are forever like wanting to do things together, and we are truly like the same person
The same person.
and have so much overlap in the stuff that we do. Like it's honestly like sickening every time we realize another layer of a likeness that we have. Like
Mhm.
PR, digital, writing, like it's literally insane.
All the things.
But
Books.
we're both always trying to like juggle 100 things, and both are kind of like side hustle to a fault almost. So I thought it would be really interesting to have a conversation about what it means to be side hustling, what it means to be like balancing all of those hats
Yeah.
in the middle of a global pandemic.
Ooh,
Yeah.
a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. Do you want to talk about just kind of what you do full time and like what some of your side hustles are?
Yeah, definitely. So by day, I am Director of Communications for One Goal. It's a national college access and success organization. And as you can imagine, right now, it is very busy with everything that we're doing to support
Yeah.
our students, many of them whom are first generation college students, students of
Right.
um, color, multiple colors,
All the
um,
colors.
all the colors of the rainbow. And a lot of them also from underserved communities. And so we've been supporting them. My work primarily is media relations and public relations, along with some speech writing. I joke that I am the one Olivia Pope of One Goal, but it's true. Like
We'll
just
take it. I love
to,
it.
bust my old shoulders off. And so by night and early mornings and weekends and like
And all
wherever
the
you
other times, whenever
wherever
you
you can
possibly
fit
can.
in, exactly, get in with the side hustles. I, in a previous life and still kind of like my other life, I was a journalist who switched to PR,
The dark
and
side.
I still moonlight as a freelance writer. And I've been blogging, so I've been side hustling in some capacity since 2008, honestly, because the job that I had out of college and then the recession happened and it
Right,
was
reality.
exactly was no longer, but I still contributed to that magazine. It was a teen magazine I was working for at the time. And so, yeah, have been blogging, freelancing, side hustling since 2008 and continue to do it in that capacity today as a blogger, freelance writer, public speaker, all the various ways of storytelling
Yeah.
I do. So,
Yeah. All the hats, all the
yeah.
time. But with like definitely with some common thread woven between like my career path and side hustle path has been pretty similar. Like
Mm-hmm.
graduated, took a job in digital marketing, and then have kind of been pivoting between doing more traditional PR and then like I think I'm finally fully leaning into the fact that I'm just a digital girl
Yeah.
and digital is just like my bag. So currently I do digital comms for a program with the city that works to reinvest in park rec centers and libraries. And then on the side, I do this and everything else. I do speaking. Oh my gosh, writing. I'm working on a novel. We'll definitely talk about writing
Yeah.
in this conversation too, because it's something that we're both so big on and working on right now. And yeah, I run my blog, I run my YouTube channel, this Instagram account. So it's a lot of things. And I never imagined like what it would look like to do all of those things when like the world is shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a whole new reality.
totally. What's your like how okay, so first of all, how are you doing? Like how are you managing in this kind of new normal?
It's I mean, that's the topic of discussion, right? Like everyone
Yeah.
is navigating it differently. And so my go-to response, which is true, is that, you know, pretty good, all things considered. Healthy, family's healthy. My husband and I are still gainfully employed, knock on wood. You know, like things are good as they
Yeah.
can be right now. And so, yeah, like it's a mix of gratitude for all of that and some guilt as well because of all of that,
Yeah.
and grief mixed in there too, just because of, you know, losing our everyday way of life. There were
Totally.
vacations we had to cancel,
Yep.
and just, you know, going to happy hour or brunch with friends. Like it's there's grief tied in and all of that, no matter how small you may think it is. So
I completely agree. Yeah. Um, so much of that, it's like this constant back and forth between feeling so incredibly grateful to just every day you wake up and you don't have any symptoms, or every day that you
yeah.
wake up and your family members are also healthy. I feel so grateful for that. But then it's like juxtaposed with this like crazy, overwhelming grief. And there's fear, there's concern, confusion. Like we all, I mean, we're what, like almost 2 months into this and we still, I feel like, have way more questions than answers. So yeah, it's a lot of feelings every day, but I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad you guys are both still employed. I know way too many people who are not employed right now, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I feel like in our field, like media, I feel like every day I'm seeing like either an out of office or a tweet about someone who was furloughed or laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very grateful just to be employed
Yeah,
right now because it's the little things. It's truly the little things.
definitely.
I saw someone comment. I wish Instagram Live made this easier to read comments. Asking what's the difference between digital communications and digital marketing. They're very similar. Marketing is way more tactical, just kind of what do we need to do, what's the goal, and how are we going to do it, and then kind of work implementing like strategies and tactics to do that one task. Whereas communications is more like message focused, and it's I think almost a little bit more long term,
Yeah.
too. Biggest difference, but very similar. It's when you're in the digital realm, there's a lot of like crossover, like marketing, comms, advertising. In digital, there's a lot of overlap and a lot of bleed. So it's been pretty easy to kind of move around those industries just because they're so similar.
Mm-hmm.
So have you found any routines to help you balance like the million things you have to do? Isn't it crazy how you wake up every day? Well, at least me personally, and it's like, okay, I think I have the brain capacity to do maybe 3 things today, but realistically, you have to do like 10.
Listen, like I am someone who definitely like very productive, make the most of every minute, every day. And lately, it's just not been the same output. And I can't expect that of myself, and nor can I expect it of others. And thankfully, I work at an organization that realizes that, and we're very big on extending each other grace, but
That's
also
great.
extending it to ourselves. And that I
Yeah,
think is the part, especially as Black women, can be difficult because there are these expectations on us. We are held to a higher standard. And if we're not performing, then like, what are we doing? And are we
right.
at risk of losing X, Y, and Z? And so I've tried to, because at the onset, like we were doing 4-hour days at the very beginning of the pandemic. And they were like, we're shortening the work week. We realize everyone has different responsibilities they need to take care of. My workaholic brain, though, went to like, oh, I only have to do 4 hours for work. Okay, that means I have like 6 or 8 to work on my side hustle and my writing. And I did it last year too. We had a week-long sabbatical last summer, and I was like, bet, I'm going to go to the wing every day and work on my book. And I completely, like, here's the point, and here's L'Oreal over here somewhere, just like off doing my own thing.
Every time.
Doing the most. And this time especially, though, I was like, girl, you are not getting it. Like, this is supposed to be time to sit, reflect, reset. And at the onset, like in March, I was on deadline for 3 different stories, one of which was a feature that I'd been working on for months. And so, like, there was that pressure. Like, I still had to perform and put out. And I burnt out. So I took April off from freelancing. I still did my weekly newsletter. I attempted to blog last night and it failed miserably. So it ended up being an Instagram gift guide instead. So
and it was great. Everyone should go check it out. It was so cute.
Tampa for the win. But routine, like, it's been very basic needs, you know, keeping up with therapy now that it's virtual, checking in with my family. Today I've found this week more of a rhythm of waking up, doing my devotional, praying, meditating, journaling, and working out, like on my Peloton or doing yoga, something else, reading or whatever, just being quiet, and then easing to the day.
Yeah. So. And it's been so up and down. I feel like there are some weeks where I'm like, okay, every day I'm going to do it like this, and this is working. And the next week I'm like, this doesn't feel as good as it did last week. So I think just being realistic with the fact that we have to be flexible with ourselves. Like, we're in a state right now of constant motion, and I feel like, and I think, you know, we hear the word chaos, and we have all these negative connotations with it, but it's just the reality that right now there's a lot of chaotic energy around all of us because there's so much uncertainty, and we're all trying to do the very best that we can with the limited knowledge that we have of how to really take care of ourselves in the best possible way. And so the best way that you can, in my opinion, combat all that chaotic energy is just to kind of flow with it. Like, you can't try to go against it. You can't try to like settle it. Just accept what it is and show up however you have to show up to just do what you can. And for me, the overachiever in me right now is going through it. Like,
girl,
I hate feeling like this. Like, I'll admit it. I hate it. In my mind, I'm like, I should have written 5 chapters in this past 5 weeks. But in reality, I've written like maybe 1,000 words.
And that's okay. Like, but the thing for overachievers like us is that it's not enough, because nothing
ever.
Once we get to where we're supposed to be, we raise the bar again and we move the goalpost. And so it's just continue. I exhaust myself. Like, I hear you on that. Like, I should have written more, because also the narrative we've been pushed so far in this pandemic is like, well, now you have the time. Now you can write the great American novel. Now you can start that X, that Y, like whatever it was that you wanted to do. And like, I felt some rebellion towards that and rejection, because it's like, wait a minute, we are in the midst of a global pandemic.
A literal pandemic.
I got up and showered and ate breakfast. Granted, it was
that's amazing.
Cheerios, but that's a win.
That's amazing. That's nutrition. We love it. That's all it takes. No, I'm right there with you. I'm trying to just like reject that busyness, that hustle narrative.
Yeah.
Because it's like the hustle will kill you, because you will always be trying to up and up and up and up. And it's like, you never just get to sit down and be like, wow, look at what I just did.
Yeah.
Look how far I came. I was there a year ago and now I'm here. And so it's hard. Like, extending yourself even that amount of grace is hard, because you also know that you want to do these things. It's nothing that you don't want to do. Like, no one's like, I'm not working out because I just don't want to. I'm not eating healthy because I just don't want to. It's just, it's so much. So just balancing.
It's a lot. And if we're being honest, like, I find joy, like my side hustle is what I love.
Yes.
It brings me joy. It makes me happy. I'm good at it. People like it. And it's like, I can do the PR and I do it and I do it well, but that is not where I find my joy. And
Agreed.
So
I'm right there with you.
It's easy to overextend yourself, because when you're finding joy and purpose, honestly, is what it comes down to for me and what I'm doing outside of work.
Yeah.
I want to pour everything that I can into it, but it is just not feasible ever,
Totally.
but especially right now. So,
Mm-hmm. Completely. Like and we can just kind of merge into writing here.
yeah.
I started working, like really seriously working on a manuscript for a novel at the beginning of the year. And I had like, you know how our brains work. I had mapped out my monthly writing goals and I had broken that down by weekly. And I'm like, okay, so by this part in the year, I'll have this part written. And I want to be able to give these chapters to beta readers by this point. And then like March happened and it was like, actually, none of that is, everything's different. Nothing is what you thought it would be. And I was like, wait a minute. And then it's like, oh, not only is everything different for the world, I also am like not even inspired the same way that I was inspired 6 weeks ago to write. Like now when I'm sitting down to write, there's still so much joy in it. I'm still so in love with this story and these characters, but it's also like, wow, I have to like sit up and keep my brain going for another hour when I can barely like get through the workday. So
Yeah.
it's weird because it's like you said, it is something that brings so much joy and passion, but it's also like I need to close the tabs in my brain and go to sleep. And that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like because I will work, it was different, before pandemic, before
Right.
the Rona. I would read on the commute. So I had that mental break, or that was
Yeah.
my reading time. And there was like a division of labor of sorts between work and then home. And even when I was working from home before, because a couple of days like for the day job, and there was still like a break or something. So I've been trying to be very mindful of that as well. I will close the computer. I'm gonna open it back up later on tonight, but like first I'm gonna do some yoga. I'm gonna do dinner. I'm going to eat. And then I will come back to it instead of, if left unattended, I will work straight through. Like
there are so many times where it's like, it's 5 o'clock. I'm like, did I eat anything?
yeah.
Did I just sit down at this computer and stay here until my body literally is like hurting? Like it's insane.
It's so easy to do. And I've also had to implement at least one day a weekend, like on the weekend, of not opening my laptop at all.
Yeah.
Like it has to stay, because boundaries, like I have to
Yes.
implement digital boundaries with myself, because there is no work-life separation because everything happens in the same space now.
Yeah.
And so that was after March, and I submitted the stories that I had the deadlines for, and I was like, I need to take April off. I need a break. So I didn't pitch stories. I declined assignments, which I'm grateful to be able to do as well because I have a day job. I'm not relying on a freelance paycheck, and take that time for myself to reset, to recenter. And now I can go back into it with fresh ideas, with more energy, and less resentment that can come along too with like doing too much. Even when it was your idea, I was like, I pitched these stories, they accepted them, that's great. But it all came at once and it was a lot. And taking time off, we have to be okay with giving ourselves permission to do that, and rest in the knowledge that, there's, I think it was Tracy Ellis Ross, like there's enough sunshine for all of us. Cause I think sometimes that too can be the like, oh, well, I have to do it because, I want to eat, I want to do that. And those are all real and valid concerns. But also I'm like, if I'm not able to, here's another Black woman writer that I would recommend. Ask her if she would be interested. Because I don't have to do everything. Like we can all eat up in here.
Exactly. No, that's so true. I've also been doing like guarding my weekends. Like on Sundays, I don't do any work because I will sit up and be like, oh, I can shoot the next 4 days worth of content on this beautiful bright Sunday. And it's like, or you can just enjoy the way that like the light moves across your apartment and finish the book that you've been reading. Like I have to set those hard boundaries because I'm like a toddler when it comes to my screen time during all this. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just go on and I'll be on Instagram for an hour, and then 5 hours later and 6 articles and 10 YouTube videos. It's like, you have not moved from this spot and you don't even feel good. Like it's one thing if you're just mindlessly scrolling and it just helps you kind of like decompress for a while. But if you're doing it because you're just trying to like put your chaotic energy somewhere, like it's not really serving you. I also gave myself like 2 weeks where I was like, you don't have to open your manuscript. You don't have to. Like, just don't look at it. Think about it. you know, if you have ideas, write them down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going anywhere. No one's going to come and take it from you if you don't work on it every single day.
Yeah.
So I have not really opened it in 2 weeks. And I feel like, and I've had so many great ideas. Like, there were so many chapters I was stuck on. And now I'm like, oh, I know how I want to write that, because I wasn't forcing myself to show up when I really needed to take care of myself in other ways first. So I know you're working on are you working on the proposal, or are you outlining and drafting?
A little bit of both. And because, again, notorious for doing the most with the least, have thought of at least 3 other books that I want to write.
Of course.
So in various stages with all of them, but had submitted the proposal for Trust Your Dopeness, the more self-help memoir kind of one, working with my agent. And because that was the other thing, like, I signed with her in January, and she was having a conversation with editors, going to go to New York in March, and then boom, pandemic. So it's like everything's been kind of put on pause.
For sure.
And I don't do really well with waiting and being still, which I think is why the other ideas have started come to mind, because it's like,
oh yeah,
well, maybe they don't like that book idea, so I have to have like backups, or there's just other books that I know I have in me, and I have not touched that proposal. I was supposed to revise, and I was going to start drafting like the chapters and everything, and haven't touched it, because like just putting out the weekly newsletter, I was like, I can commit to that.
Yeah.
Because there are people on the other end, and I wanted to provide, in whatever small way that I could, some sense of normalcy. And so Wednesday mornings at 8:00, I want people to have, like, it's in their inbox, and like, there's chaos all around us. Here's something.
Like, yeah, and it's so good. Literally the best part of my Wednesday morning. And I love that you've been able to be so consistent, because that's super hard. Like, I've been uploading to YouTube every single week since quarantine, and I'm like, I felt like I wanted to do it because, one, I needed something to kind of like put my concentration into. Yeah. And it was such a great distraction during the beginning of this. And even so, like, just even doing these like weekly live chats too, and then uploading those, it's like, I wanted to give people something like, hey, all the thoughts you're having in your head, we're all having the same conversation. Yeah. So let's like channel this conversation in a way that is productive, that hopefully makes you feel less alone, a little bit more comforted, more normal. Just kind of like, I read something that said, like, we are collectively experiencing like the most isolating time in most of our lifetimes. Wow. But we're doing it as a collective. Like, this is a community experience. And I think that's the best thing about creating content on the internet. It's like giving people just that sense of like, there are other people who are going through this. There are other people who are feeling the same way and trying to work through the same way. So you're not failing. You're just like, you're on track. Like, you're on track with the rest of us.
Definitely. I mean, that's my goal in everything I write, honestly, is just to provide that, like, hey, me too. And sharing the unpopular thought or the thing that someone might be ashamed to admit is just like, no, I've had those thoughts as well. Like, I can admit to jealousy and all of those other unpopular feelings and thoughts and emotions. And sometimes it just takes someone else, like, sharing that for someone else to be like, oh my gosh, me too. I thought I was the only one. And that's not it at all. Like, we are literally in this together right now, but also in just like life and the different experiences that we have. Chances are someone else has experienced that. And with women, I think in particular, the more that we're honest and vulnerable and transparent about those things, because it's so easy, right? On social media, you can look at someone and be like, oh my gosh, she has her whole life together and it's perfect. And that's because that's what they want you to see. And I remember one time,
curated.
You can't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And that's all social media is a highlight. Yeah.
And in so many ways too, that's exactly what sharing your side hustles on social media is, because everyone is like you look at someone's Instagram and you're like, oh, it's so easy. Like, she gets sent all these things and she worked with these brands or she writes for these publications. She clearly is like a notch above. And it's like, no, I'm like pitching just as hard as everyone else, if not harder, because I'm like a smaller creator, or going after bigger publications or bigger bylines and having to always feel like, have I shown improved enough to be worthy to get this next assignment? Or like, okay, now I have an agent. Am I going to get an editor? And I'm like, okay, I have an idea. Am I going to finish this manuscript? So like no one gets to see all of the work that goes into the finished product. They only get to experience the finished product. And that's why I think it's so important to talk about kind of like the journey, because it's hard. And people glamorize it so much and everyone wants the finished product. But I'm like, but do you really want to do this? Because doing this doesn't look like that every day.
No, it's
at all.
Like, I remember distinctly when I was still in full-time journalism and freelancing on the side, doing interviews in my car in the parking garage next to our office building during my lunch. And it's a side hustle for a reason, because it requires hustle. It's not pretty. It looks pretty at the end, like on Instagram, and once it's been filtered and photoshopped and, you know, tweaked and edited and everything like that. But the grind is real. And it's like, I sometimes wish I was like, what happened to hobbies? Like, someone asked me, I was like, what do you do for fun? Like, I don't know.
Our darn overachieving brains, we're like, wow, this is so much fun. Could I monetize it?
Monetize it or make it a goal, because even with like my Peloton, I'm like, I want to have 100 rides by the end of the year. With my reading, it's like, I want to read 50 books by this time. Like, and everything has a goal. Everything becomes monetized. It takes the fun out of it. And so it's like, also everything doesn't have to be a side hustle. Some things can remain hobbies, and that's okay.
Yeah. And it's hard when you're comparing yourself to just kind of accept that, okay, this is my hobby. But I think that's why it's also important to really monitor and like check yourself. Like, who are you following and why are you following these people? Like, are you following her because you like her content and she's helping you out and you're learning, or you enjoy it, or it makes you happy? Or are you following because it causes you to be jealous, or you're envious, or you're using it as some kind of comparison metric? Because that's not serving anyone.
No, I had to unfollow, and you know, names omitted to protect the innocent, but there are two distinct bloggers I'm thinking about that, again, as I meant, I'm a Scorpio. Like, jealousy runs in my blood. And
my little sister's a Scorpio. Yeah, I know that very, very well.
It's hard. And I was in therapy and talking about, to your point, like, there are people, so if you're like, you and when we have a mutual friend, Jessica, like, fall into the like, you inspire me, you're dope, you're doing great content, we're the same person.
Literally the same person.
There are others that I was following in past tense, emphasis on that, because I don't know why. And I would look at their feeds and like feel bad about myself, and I had to unfollow or mute, or just like, because it wasn't helping me, it wasn't serving me. And again, with admitting the jealousy part of it, but then taking action. So it's like, well, I'm not going to continue to follow this person. And,
right.
Because also sometimes there's like, people aren't always the way they appear in real life that they are on social media. And it can be disappointing when you, that reality is not the same. And so it was just like, but I like, and everyone's allowed their off days. Like, people have bad days, that's fair. But I was just like, be more mindful of what you're consuming in these digital spaces. Yeah,
especially during like a time like this, you have to be just kind of consuming stuff consciously. You can't just, because right now, when everyone, regardless of how well things are going, we literally and like emotionally and professionally are all kind of a little stuck. Like, no one is going out right now and like launching their phase 3 because like you're in a house.
Yeah.
So like, if you are already dealing with that, understandably feeling a little bit stuck, like you kind of are, this is what I'm doing. I don't really have capacity for more. I hope I don't have to do less. Like, watching everyone else who are on like chapter 15 while you're on chapter 5 is not going to help you feel any better. Yeah, I had to do a lot of unfollows too, and just kind of
cleanse the timeline.
Yeah, because it's like, why? It's like, wow, you really just have that moment where you're like, wow, every time I see her post, I feel awful about myself. I feel like I feel so underaccomplished, and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
I had a moment in therapy like a month or so ago, and my therapist asked me, she was like, why do you think that there always has to be like a best you? Like, why do you think that there's like a final version that you're working your way towards. Like, why don't you think that you're always good enough? And even as you get better, that's great. But that doesn't mean that the other versions of you were not good enough.
That's a word.
And I was like, because, I love a goal. I'm like, yes, I'm in therapy because I'm trying to achieve this. And once I'm at this, then I'm done. Like, I'm fixed. When I first started therapy, like years ago, I told her, I was like, I feel like I'll be able to fix myself in like a year. And she was like,
Like, that's cute.
Interesting take that you have. Get comfy on the couch. But yeah, I feel like it's so common with overachievers like us. We're always like, oh yeah, I'm okay right now, but when I'm great, when I'm excellent, like then I'll feel so much better.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you have to learn how to feel good right where you are.
Yeah. Like, so not even we're the same person, but I feel like we have the same therapist maybe, because that constant self-improvement is just like, we're walking Brene Brown books, like it's just
for sure.
You become the best. And it's like, can I just be?
Yeah.
Like, take the S and the T off of it. I just want to be.
Yeah.
And
that's a word. Yeah.
I just came up with it.
I love that. You need to put that on a t-shirt or something. Write that down. See, this is what we always do. We can't even just have a good word on live. Now,
no. Yeah.
Monetize it.
Just slap our own face and be like, no.
2021 goals.
Yes.
Have non-monetized hobbies.
Yeah.
So how are you, like, in the middle of all of this, keeping yourself kind of organized? Because even on the days where I can't do, like, 50 things, I still need to, like, keep those 50 things in track. So, yeah, what is that looking like for you?
Every Sunday, I missed 1 week, I think, since all of this, but for the last few years, I swear by the Ink and Volt planner. So whatever planner or whatever thing, like, works for whoever, like, do that. But for me, it's every Sunday taking a look. I have my Google Calendar out on my phone, and because it has the work and personal calendars merged there. So I can look at that and look at the week. The first thing I do is schedule my workouts for the week so that those are in place and honor them as I would meetings. And then enter in the actual meetings that I have. And what I'm working on is getting better at not filling all of the white space.
Goodness gracious.
It's a work in progress. I'm trying to get into a routine or habit of like, okay, the newsletter comes out Wednesday nights, you're working on them Tuesday nights. In a perfect world, it would be like on the weekend, but by the time the weekend comes, it's like, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. And so, looking at the week ahead, planning things out. And then I have so many notebooks. I'm sure you do as well. There's the planner, there's the journal, then there's like the ideas notebook. And that's where that's the brain dump. That's where stuff goes to marinate sometimes. Like it just needs to percolate a little bit more. And I can come back to them, but I don't want to lose them.
Right.
So that's how I try to organize I love paper. Like I have not found, I know people use Asana, Trello, and different things like that. And I haven't yet found a way to make it stick for me.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there listening has any tips, let me know. But for now, it's like old school paper and the Google Calendar, and
nothing beats like putting pen to paper. Like it's just such a good, and crossing something out. Like I've never felt the same satisfaction like checking a box on like a to-do list app as I have like crossing something out on a piece of paper. It feels so good. Yeah, surprise, surprise. My Sundays are pretty similar. I've been just like I'll go through the week and be like, okay, these are the days. First, I'll try to note all the days where it's like your day is going to be bogged down. Like on Monday, I had calls from literally 9 to 5.
Yeah. Like
I was on Zooms and like video calls 9 to 5. And I was like, all right, so that's not going to be a very productive work day. Like you're not going to get a lot of things done, but you're going to need to be on all day. Yeah. So I'll try to note those so I can try to kind of map the rest of my week around that. Like, okay, well, if Monday is going to suck a lot of energy out of you, what day can you put some of that back? Yeah. And what day can you like log off from like 12 to 3 and just do something that's not staring at a computer because you need that. I cannot meal prep. I just don't like it. Like spending 4 hours in my kitchen just cooking, even if it's just for me, is not ideal. It's not my idea way to plan my meal. So I'll just kind of be like, okay, here's what you have in the house. Here's what you can make. If I have to go grocery shopping, I have to like give myself a 3-day pep talk that like you can go to the grocery store and you're not gonna pass out and like come back with Rona stuck to your forehead, because I never thought that grocery shopping would be mission impossible.
So anxiety inducing.
I hate it so much. And also, like, I don't believe a lot of you who are taking all these things from the store know how to cook them. I don't believe you. All of a sudden, there's no like short ribs. Y'all don't know how to make short ribs.
No,
People are lying. You ate ramen for your whole life, and now all of a sudden, everyone is on Chopped. I don't believe you. So I'll go through and like plan my meals, and then just kind of day by day, I'll just do my like to-do list, and I kind of try to separate it by 9 to 5 stuff, by Amber Burns stuff, and then 2 things that are just like for me.
Yeah.
And that's been working because it's so flexible. I don't think I could take the approach. For the first like 3 weeks, I was doing this like morning, afternoon, evening breakdown. Like, okay, in the morning you have to do like this, and this before noon. And it worked for like a week. And then I was like, oh, actually, this is not it. Like I need, some days I'm going to be up at 7. Some days I'm going to be up at 8:30. Like it depends. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm trying to keep it all together. Thank God for the bullet journal.
Yeah. I haven't gotten into it yet. I hear great things. And it's one of those, I think I'm intimidated by things that I'm not good at. But then it's like,
oh, for sure.
How do you know you're not good?
Because we know.
Yeah.
That was me. Oh, if you would have seen like the temper tantrums I threw when I first launched a YouTube channel, I was like, oh, if I can't edit like that, I'm not doing this. Like, what's the point of doing this? And it's like, well, how are you ever going to edit like that if you don't edit like this first? Like, come on, Amber.
Yeah. Well, that's literally, I am petrified of video. So like IG Live is like that. I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. But like I think about like, oh, IGTV, and again with the ideas and the side hustles and expanding like all the things, but I don't know how to edit, and I don't know that I have the time to learn, and I don't want to pay somebody. I mean, like, if I want to hire someone, I will pay them. I'm not saying that, but like with what money right now, like, so it's just a fear. Yeah, I commend you for all of your video. I'm like, wow, she's really doing it. Go Amber.
I don't know how, but it is a constant like coming to terms with like I feel so bad at this.
Mm-hmm.
I almost quit 3 times, like threw the whole channel away, because I was like, I'm not good at this, and it's so hard as an overachiever, as someone who's always doing a million things. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm doing them all, but I do them well. Like, I would not do any of them if I could only do one thing well. I would be the best person doing that thing. Do you get secondhand embarrassment for people who are doing things poorly when you know, like, why'd you do, like, you could have just not done that?
No comment.
Like, it's like sometimes I'm like, wow, that was a very judgmental thought, but I'm also like, but that was, ooh, you didn't have you should have done that.
Babyface live, I was like,
could you imagine? Like, it's
so embarrassed.
One day they will figure out a way to like when we're finally in the future and Beyonce is around the world, and they can like adjust our brain to keep just enough of the overachiever, but then give us like a healthy dose of like chill out.
Yeah. This is why I married an introvert. Like, we are opposites. He is very chill and laid back. That has been like, and when people ask me on podcasts and different things, well, how do you do it all? How do you balance? Like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I had like, he helps. He's the cook. He does dinner. Like, and that helps me and frees me up to focus on the side hustle at
right.
And pre-pandemic, we had someone come and clean our condo every other month. Like, I want to get honest about that too, about what help looks like with the hustle, because I'm not doing this on my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead anyone to believe that I am, because that then creates this like mythical, magical, like, oh my gosh, I have to do it on my own because look at her. Like, no. Ask for help.
Yes.
Pay for help. Use the help, like, by whatever means necessary. Because it's
when
it's
when I was launching like the first round of merch, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you did all that. It was so great. And I'm like, I almost died. Like, literally, it was way too much. When I shot like the product shots, that whole week was like insane. I had 2 hours out of that whole entire week that I could have taken those photos. And of those 2 hours, like maybe 40 minutes of those were decent lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So I like shot with someone, one of my friends who I shoot with all the time. We like do photos for each other. And it's like, I was so exhausted. I'm pretty sure I like cried after we were done taking this. I was like, I'm just so tired of this. The website crashed 3 times before we launched. Like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. So I'm like, even when you can do it all by yourself and you're managing to like check off all those boxes alone, it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
Like you're going to pay in something. You're either going to pay in money, energy, or time. Like there's a currency for everything. Yes. So even if you're like, oh, well, she's doing it all by herself, I can too. It's like, well, what is it going to cost you? Can you afford it? Because it cost me a lot of sleep. Mm-hmm. A lot of sleep. I had friends driving me across the city at 10 o'clock at night to pick up samples.
Yeah.
Like.
That's real.
It was a lot. And I was so proud of it. And I'm so glad I did it. Like, would I do it again? Yes. But like differently. Like I have other things that are coming out now. And it's like, okay, maybe you don't have to do every design yourself. Hire someone. Like you have to decide like what is it going to cost and am I willing to pay that?
Yeah.
Because nothing's free.
What is it? Tiffany Dufu in Drop the Ball talks about your highest and best use. And so for last year, I had rehired a former intern that I had back when I was at Jet and Ebony. And I was like, listen, I know social media is important and graphics and like things like that. It is not my strong suit. I'm a writer, period. Like that's what I do. That's what I'm good at. And that is my highest and best use. And then I was like, I'm going to outsource this part of like the marketing and the part that I don't like to do and that I don't want to do to free me up to focus on what it is that I enjoy, and which is a privilege. And I recognize that, but perhaps bartering with, friends who are in other like you can exchange services or goods or something like that to like help each other when you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. What are some of the things that before you were able to outsource things and you were kind of early in the hustle that you would rely on to just get things done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back now to Buffer. Using that to, and I always was like, okay, Sunday night, I'm going to schedule the whole week or month, and I haven't been very good about that. But I am going to get back into the habit. Buffer for scheduling, tweets primarily, like I'm mostly use Twitter and Instagram, like are the 2 platforms. Because that's the other thing, is like focusing on a platform and not all of the platforms. Getting into Planoly, however you pronounce it. For Instagram, Canva, as evident by the gift guide that took me more time than I cared to admit last night. Because I need templates. Like I'm not a designer, so I need it's already made and I can just like swap and play and doing that. So those, and MailChimp I use for my newsletter. Those are, like the tools in my tool belt that help me get things done.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
Yeah. A lot of the same. I use the app Plan. I think it's planned with 2 N's for Instagram, just because I like that you can do it from your desktop.
Oh, nice.
So you can like, because I tend to be a little bit more like long form with my captions. So it's helpful to be able to do that at the keyboard versus on the phone where I'm like, autocorrect is bound to mess me up in one of those, like every time. So use that. I do still use Buffer occasionally for tweets, but now that everything is kind of like when I read new blog posts, that gets automatically tweeted out. When I upload a new video, it gets automatically tweeted out. That kind of mitigates some of that. Just because I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it so consistently that even in the between time, like there's still enough going out that I don't feel like have a lot of radio silence. I use the Canon Connect app all the time now because I'm shooting my own photos because Rona. So that's great if you need to be able to like shoot with a remote, but you also want to be able to really see like what your frame is going to look like. So you can like hook it up to your camera on Wi-Fi and remote shoot and see exactly what the picture will be without having to be like this close to your camera. Which is helpful. I'm glad that Instagram let us answer DMs from desktop now, because that
Hallelujah.
I love like the community I have here, but I can literally spend like an hour every day just doing DMs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot from your phone. Like sometimes you want to send people a link or like
Yeah.
it's a lot. So desktop DMs have been so helpful. I think that's what in my notes app I use, and Google Keep. I use Google Keep a lot, especially because I'm gonna bring it back. I haven't posted to the blog all month because I'm working on like a redesign,
Mm-hmm.
but I do these like Sunday morning coffee posts where it's just like a link share of things I've like found and read and loved, and I'm always like saving articles and like websites and stuff in my Google Keep, making quick lists. And I love Google Keep. Like it's like the real MVP, and I feel like no one really uses it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it. And when you described it, I forgot another tool my friend Anuli had shared with me, Pocket, to
Oh
save
yeah.
articles and bookmark things. So the link section in my newsletter is where everything is in Pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Or also when I'm like on Twitter in between meetings and I'm like, I really want to read this article, but I don't have time right now,
Yeah.
and come back to it. Yeah.
Do you use your Twitter bookmarks a lot?
No.
I have so many things bookmarked on Twitter.
I need to check it out.
I saw someone say that Twitter was considering making it public, and I'm like, I also have a lot of shady things, like
Yeah.
things like, oh, I should
do that.
screenshot this, but I'll screenshot it later. I'm like, don't make those public. But bookmarks are great because, especially for articles or people, like if there's a person who you don't want to put them in a list necessarily, but you want to just come back to them, I'll just bookmark a tweet of theirs and then be like, oh yeah, I forgot I bookmarked that to stalk this girl about something or whatever. Super helpful. So how are you approaching as like we wrap up and April wraps up, like goal setting for another month? Because I was just thinking about that and I'm like, it's interesting to be like planning for a month when you don't really know what the next month is going to be like at all.
Yeah, and I was sharing this with a friend as well. So in Chicago, they've already called it like we are quarantined until May 30th. Like we are in the house. Because before it was like every 2 weeks, and that was
oh yeah, that was the worst when they were like, okay, until the 15th, this 21st. I was like, what is going on?
Like just tell us if like I can then plan accordingly. And so May, it's gonna be May. I had to do it.
I'm very excited for that'll be a fun day on Instagram when that meme is just everyone's story.
I was thinking though, just because like the last 2 days, getting back into meditation. I want to meditate every day. I use Insight Timer.
I do too.
Free app.
We're the same person.
Of course. And outline maybe some of these book ideas that have been floating around in my brain. And also I was looking at Catapult and some other writing classes.
Yeah.
So one of the ideas, you inspired me actually, it's a romance novel. But I have not written fiction since college. And even then, it was one of my lower grades. And by low, I mean it was a B.
Okay.
In my intro to writing, fiction and poetry class. So I want to write, but I don't necessarily want to tie like a result or like, I want more of the process, like the outline, the draft. I'll probably pitch a couple art, but it's not like 10 stories or something like that. The newsletter obviously will continue. Just trying to create and protect space, like to create, instead of like just creating all the time and running myself down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've decided that as far as my manuscript, I'm going to spend May going back and filling in some more holes in the chapter outline, because I think that I put so much pressure on myself to start drafting that I'm just moving a little bit too ahead of myself. And because right now I'm not in a place where I can just kind of sit down in front of a blank page and just bang out 1,000 words or 3,000 words to make a chapter. So I'm going to let myself just, like really bulk up that outline. And I've gotten so many new ideas for different scenes that I realized, this has to be in there. The main character is going to go to a lot more therapy appointments than I originally thought she was going to. And I'm so excited to write about a young Black girl going to therapy.
Yeah.
Like, why is that not in so many more books?
They don't want to speak great.
Like, they don't. So I'm excited for that. Still trying to keep this weekly upload schedule on YouTube too. I, of course, because I'm insane, I have a goal that I really want to reach 1,000 subscribers before summer. And
Let's
it's
do it.
doable,
Yeah.
but it's also like it's out of my control and I need to not obsess over it. But of
Yeah.
course I'm going to obsess over it. So
But that's what we do.
what we do. And I'm good at it. I'm great at obsessing over things.
Same.
And yeah, and just sleep. I'm trying to get my sleep on track. I have the sleep schedule right now of a college freshman, and I need that to be corrected. I've been doing way better this week. Last week was abhorrent. Like, it would be 3:00 in the morning, and I'm like, I don't even want to be here. Like, what? Why? This week has been a lot better, but I'm ready to kind of just be rested. I want to allow myself more rest. I always feel like my brain is, and every time my brain is moving, I feel the need to like push through that and to make it into something. And I want to give myself the space to not.
No, we're queens of pushing through. And it's like, now while all this is going on, our company has implemented an unlimited wellness time policy. So like, you need the time, take the day. And I've been leaning into that as well, because I am someone who is like, no, I can just work through. I had a terrible headache last Thursday night, and now I realize that it's because it was going to rain on Friday. And I don't know what to do about that. Like, I can't predict it or take, like, whatever. And I was like, well, you only have a couple meetings, like you can just push through. And it was like, no, I'm going to take the day.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it. And that's okay. Like, the world is still going to spin. If L'Oreal is not working right now and not producing but it's like I tie so much of my self-worth and my identity to work
the day and achieving and accomplishing
all the things. And then for what? Because when all is said and done, like, you can't take any of that with you. So
right. It's like you're doing all this to burn yourself out early for what? I don't ever want to be in a position where I've worked so hard that I can't even enjoy the fruit of my labor, which is why I can't wait till we can travel again, because I'd love to get on a plane and go somewhere, but definitely not in 2020.
No.
So I don't want to keep you here all night, even though we could definitely kiki all night.
Yeah.
But what I've been trying to do is end all these little convos with us sharing something that we're grateful for, because I really do think that gratitude is so centering, and right now we could all do to be a little bit more centered.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first, and just anything big or small. Last week I said I was grateful for postal workers. And I even put a little sticky note in my mailbox to say thank you to my mailman, because it felt necessary, you know?
Yeah.
Just like to pass the gratitude along. So whatever is on your heart, whatever you're grateful for.
Yeah. This is going to sound real cheesy, but like, I'm grateful for you. This is our first time. Like, I know that if people are watching, like, oh, they must know each other. But like,
no, for sure.
First time meeting on like live, I guess, even in person yet. And just your sisterhood, honestly, and the friendship, because it's so easy when we do overlap like that and like have so many commonalities and we're doing the same thing, to view the other person as your competition.
Yes.
And I feel like what we've done a really good job of with each other and also our respective communities is building that community, inviting me on, helping me out when I was like, I think I want to do merch too. And it's not of like, oh, she's stealing my idea. It's like, no, we genuinely want to help each other. And that, I think, can be a model for like so many other people, like collaboration, not competition.
Yes. I feel that way completely. It's just like, I'm rooting for everybody, Black and woman. Like, and seeing you, like, I remember when you signed with your agent, I was so happy, like so overjoyed for you. And it's like, it's crazy that I've never met this woman. And I feel like my best friend just got an agent. Like, and it's because when you pour into community like that, the way that it pours back into you, it's just like, that was a great gratitude.
Your win is my win. But it's all connected, you know?
Completely.
So, like,
yes. More community, less competition.
Yes.
This week, I think I'm grateful just to be healthy. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of is like a given, but there's just been like, this time of year normally is when like my allergies start cutting up. and I'm always like out for the count anyway.
Yeah.
And because I'm in the house all the time, there's less pollen like impacting me, and I feel really good, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of the Black and brown and like varied-bodied health and wellness fitness instructors.
Yes.
Who are making space for people of all body types to kind of show up and enable them to feel good. Like, I know I talk about her every live, but her name is Lauren Level, and she does fitness classes. She does a ton of classes. She does bar, yoga, HIIT classes, and they're so great. And she's so good about making you feel like your body can do anything perfectly, and however your body does it was like exactly how it should have been done. I'm actually going to do a live with her next week, but I'm just grateful to feel good in my body right now. And so many people are not as fortunate, and so many people are sick. Like, it feels really good to just kind of be grateful for the body that you have.
Yeah. I love that.
What a time.
Listen. Yeah.
Well, thank you for spending your evening with me. I appreciate it. I'm glad we finally got to do this. Like, it was definitely way overdue.
Yeah, so much fun. Thank you for having me. Love everything that you're doing. And
love everything you're doing. I can't wait to read your book.
Same. I need it now. Like, can you?
Honestly, I wish we could just kind of like zap the final products to each other. Like, this is it.
Yes. Yeah. Soon come. Soon.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I just had to like check 5 times and it's actually Wednesday.
Yeah, I thought it was Tuesday at one point. So here we are.
What are days of the week are a social construct now?
Irrelevant. Yeah.
Don't need them.
Whatever you want it to be.
What day does it feel like to you? Just go with that.
And then we got.
All right, girl. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
And we'll talk soon. All right. Bye.